In this video, we're going to talk about protein, carbohydrates, and fat, why we need them, what they are, where do we get them from. So these are our macronutrients, and some people aren't aware of what they are. So that is your protein, carbohydrates, and fat, like I said. So they provide your body with energy, so basically calories. They are the building blocks of cellular growth, immune function, and overall repair. So everything that goes on within the body, we need these for. Your body also requires micronutrients, so we need our micronutrients such as our vitamins and minerals that we get from fruit and vegetables in smaller quantities than our macronutrients. So we need our macronutrients in larger quantities. So order of importance for weight loss, just to give you an idea, calories and energy balance are the top of the priority when it comes to weight loss. Protein would be second. A lot of people aren't aware of that they think that protein is just for people who want to gain muscle or to look bigger, but in actual fact, protein is one of the most important things in a weight loss phase. Micronutrients and sleep. So that goes for all aspects of your health, not just for weight loss. These factors apply to everyone across the board. So protein, I'm going to run you through. We need protein for many aspects of our overall health, beneficial in the weight loss phase. Also, it's the building block of our bones, muscle, cartilage, tissue, and repair after exercise and muscular growth if we were trying to build muscle. So you might think to yourself that you don't want to build muscle, but if you do want to look more toned, that is essentially having more muscle tone than fat. A lot of women out there are afraid to gain muscle. They're afraid to do certain exercises in case they get muscular, but in actual fact, it's very difficult to get muscular. It's very difficult to gain muscle as women. We need to eat a lot of food, and we need to train very hard and lift very heavy weights in order to actually see big muscles. So it's just something to be mindful of. If it is holding you back, then don't be afraid. If you are someone who wants to look lean and just feel healthier in general, then protein is not something to be feared. So getting back to the ins and the outs, there are 4 calories per gram of protein. We need approximately, it varies from 1 to 1.5 grams, and then 2 grams per kg would be the higher scale, per body weight, that is. So protein also uses 25% of its own energy to digest, which means it uses 25% of its own calories to digest. Obviously, that makes it great in the weight loss phase when you're trying to reduce the amount of energy that you're taking in. Also, it keeps us full for longer, so it's great to include in all our meals, so we're not hungry, so that we are feeling satisfied after meals. So then there is the whey protein, which I sometimes include in people's plans. Whey protein is nothing to be feared. It's not a supplement. It's simply like having a chicken breast or eggs. The reason why I include it in people's plans is it's very convenient. If you are someone who isn't hugely keen on meat, then whey protein will help you along hitting your protein target each day. So moving on to carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are not to be feared. They don't make you fat. They're just another macronutrient, another energy source. Obviously, carbohydrates are foods we naturally go to. A lot of women naturally go to carbohydrates, and they can be overeaten because they're really enjoyable. So it's just to be mindful of that. That's the only thing. But I would never say to cut them out. The idea, I think, of carbohydrates being really good for weight loss is when we eat carbohydrates. So when we eat 1 gram of carbs, our body will store up to 2 or 3 to 4 grams of water. So then when we cut carbs, obviously our water in our bodies is decreased and the scales come down. So the scales will drop, but a lot of the time it is water, especially if you see a significant change overnight in some cases, or within a couple of days, it's usually water. You eat carbs again and it goes back up. So that's not to say that you've lost fat and you've gained fat. It's just simply the water manipulation in your body. So there are 3 types of carbs. Then we have our starch, sugar, and fiber. So you all know your starch from your rice and your pasta. Then you have like your sugar, so that's the fruit. Things like granola, sugary kind of carbs like squares bars and all those. And then we have our fiber. So obviously we get fiber from our vegetables. So things like carrots, parsnips, and all those would be carbohydrates. as well as vegetables. So um, a lot of vegetables out there are mostly water, but there is certain ones like the root vegetables that are higher in carbs. So again, if you're in a weight loss phase, just be mindful of that, but there is never a need to cut out any food group. Okay, so moving on to fat. We need fat in our diets for all aspects of health. Fat is really important in women's diets, for hormone regulation, for metabolism, for all aspects of our health. Everything from our physical to our mental health. It is especially important for women to maintain a healthy, reproductive system, to have normal menstrual cycles, and so on. So, not to let fat drop too low is a priority when we are looking at weight loss, because sometimes if it does go too low, it can cause some complications. So, it's important to maintain a adequate amount of fat. So our good fat sources then, you could get it from avocado, nuts, cheese, peanut butter, dark chocolate, olive oil, and so on. Okay, so alcohol is definitely worth a mention. So alcohol is also an energy source. So technically it is part of macronutrients, and it's very prevalent in most of our lives. We all, not all of us, most of us drink at some stage, whether that be frequently or infrequently, but it's definitely something to consider because it contributes to our energy. It provides us with 7 calories per gram. It drastically slows down other functions within the body. So people often ask, can I drink alcohol and lose weight? Can I drink alcohol and make progress? And the answer is yes, but also it does definitely, in my opinion, make it slightly more difficult. Obviously, when we have alcohol in our diets, something has to give. So if you are trying to be in a calorie deficit, it does mean that it makes it that bit more difficult, and it also slows things down. So obviously alcohol is a toxin. So in order for our bodies to break it down, there's different processes that have to be done. And, in a roundabout way, fat loss may take a hindrance. So it's just something to be mindful of. Obviously, if your body has to work hard to get rid of toxins, then something is going to give. And also, it contributes to fatigue and low mood and motivation levels. So, overdoing it when you're trying to feel better, it just isn't a good idea. But at the same time, for many of us, it's a big part of our life, it's a big part of socializing, and lots of us love to go out and enjoy ourselves and stuff like that. So it isn't to be cut out completely if you are someone who enjoys it, because I think our social health is just as important as anything. So it doesn't need to be cut out, but certainly there does need to be sacrifices at some points. At some stages, something has to give. Vegetables then, so both micronutrients and lower carb sources. So like I explained already, there are carbohydrates in vegetables too. So some are higher in carbs than others. So root vegetables tend to be higher in carbs. So that is your carrots, parsnips, turnips. And then things like peppers, mushrooms are all mainly water, especially lettuce, spinach, and all those are very much water based. So fruit then. Fruit provides us with essential micronutrients as well, and also fiber. So they boost your fullness, they're great for your digestion. There is that idea that fruit is not good to include in your diet if you're trying to lose weight, which isn't true. Fruit is just another energy source. Fruit is very nutritious. There is no need to cut it out. There is a need to monitor and manage how much you eat, and it's not free or anything like that, so it's just to be mindful of it, but it's definitely not to be excluded. Things like berries are very low in calories and very nutritious, so keep them in. There is no need to cut out things like bananas or apples. Just because they may contain some carbs, there's no need to cut them out completely. So main meals then, I'm just going to run you through. So I always suggest you keep a meal structure that includes a protein source, a carbohydrate source, and fat sources. So that is just, a good way to make sure that you get in all your nutrients, that you're going to be full for a substantial period of time, that you're not going to be starving straight away. So oftentimes people try to eat healthily and then they will have something that's very low in protein, let's say, and they'll wonder why they're really hungry like an hour later. and it's just because they haven't got the adequate amount of nutrients in. So it's best to keep your meals balanced, pick a protein source and work around it. So once you have your protein, carbohydrates and fat in place, then load the rest with veggies. Now I would say with the fat, it is, and the carbohydrates, it is important to, understand portion control, because it's, for protein the same applies, but it's a little bit easier because it doesn't tend to be the natural one we'll overeat. Now obviously this doesn't go for everyone, but naturally we tend to overeat the carbohydrates, and fat, because it's so high in energy, it's very easy to overdo it. So it's just to be mindful of portion sizes. So whatever method that suits you, it may be tracking, it may not be, it depends on you as an individual. Some people suggest that you use the hand technique, so roughly do a protein size of your palm, a carbohydrate of your fist, and a fat of your thumb. So that's the size, but it's very, very rough. That's a very rough estimation, but portion control can be the kicker, and you may be eating all the right things, but your portion control is off for the amount of energy that you need and the amount of energy that you expend. So therefore it's vital that you kind of nail that if you are trying to lose weight. And it's also important that you nail it in terms of not under eating, because if you're under eating, the likelihood is you're going to kind of make up for it at some point, and that can be where the binge and restrict cycle comes in. So that's key, not to under eat. So factor in snacks and foods that you enjoy as well. So there is no point going cold turkey and avoiding all the things that you love and banning all the things that you love. I always have a more flexible approach and a more realistic and sustainable one where you can include things you like. So if you love chocolate, there's no point saying you're not eating chocolate, and there's no point making someone feel like if they eat chocolate then they're gone wrong or they're gone off the wagon. So making, room for these things and allowing that treat that you want. Let's say if you love having tea in the evening with a biscuit, like there's no point saying you can't have that, because calories have to come from somewhere. And if you pick a biscuit for one of the sources, then that's okay. Once you have your protein covered, once you get your veggies, and once you're staying within that calorie goal, then it's okay to have your biscuit and your chocolate. Now, so 100% true. Remember, no food is banned. You can still enjoy the things you love, but eat smart. So what I mean by eat smart is, if you have, let's say, I'm going to pick a random calorie goal like 2,000 or 1,500 calories per day, and if a bar of chocolate, like a share sized one, is 900, I have no idea what it is, but if it's really high, then you know yourself that if you have it and continue eating what you plan to eat throughout the day, you're going to be over, and it's just going to make it more difficult for you in the long run if weight loss is your goal. Also, you probably won't feel great if you eat like a large bar of chocolate every day, to yourself. So it's just to eat smart, like eat like in a way that's going to make you feel well, make you feel good. Don't eat in a way that's going to make you feel terrible, that's not going to contribute to getting to where you want to go. This is very much easier said than done, and it's a lot more complex for some people, but it's just an overview of the ideas and the path that you should kind of look to go down. Now, so what do I mean by eat smart? Like I just said, eat food that will make you feel good, healthy, and energized. If weight loss is the goal, get more bang for your buck. So choosing nutritious foods instead of really calorie dense foods, so you can have more volume. Like things like veggies, you can have lots of volume, but it won't, bring your calories through the roof. And this isn't all about calories. It's just about eating smart, eating foods that make you feel well as well. So if you feel terrible after certain foods, then don't include it. Like I said, no food is banned, and not to look at food good versus bad, and that is key, I think, in establishing a good relationship with food. The more we demonize foods and the more we look at them in a negative light, the more sometimes we'll want them, and the more guilt tendencies we'll get if we eat them, which is just not good for anyone's mental health. So what else do we need? Sleep, stress management, and water. So water, aim for 2 to 3 litres per day. Hydration is key. You must maintain a healthy digestive system through hydration. It aids weight management, promotes healthy skin, helps fight fatigue,